Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Tuesday edition of Video Clips. And I'll start with some announcements. First of all, I send out a newsletter on Monday. We call it the Forbidden Chronicles. And then the videos go out Tuesday through Thursday, Tuesday through Friday. And if you want to subscribe to all of the videos, only 2 of them, Tuesdays and Thursdays, appear on Video Clips, or on YouTube rather, and the others are on are posted elsewhere. So if you want to get videos every day and you want to get the newsletter, send me an email at pampopper@msn.com. Just another real quick thing, you guys send me a lot of great stuff and you make research easy. I mean, all the great stuff that I get from you sometimes notifies me about things I should pay attention to, which is terrific. The one thing I can't do is individual research for you. Like, will you look at this article and tell me what you think and that sort of thing. So what I'm doing is I'm creating videos and newsletters, and I wrote a book called COVID Operation, in case you haven't read it yet. Try to do all those things so that I can put out a lot of information for everybody, but I can't answer individual questions. And I'm sorry about that. I wish I had more time. And if I find a way to clone myself, I will do more of that, I promise. The Food Over Medicine Boot Camp, which we do every year live here in Columbus, is this Saturday from 10 to 3. If you can join us here in the office, you will get a delicious lunch as part of your ticket. If not, you will watch it remote, and there's a member, non-member price, so we'll have a remote feed through Zoom so you can watch the entire program from someplace else if you don't live in driving distance of Columbus. But it's fun to gather. We know that humans like being around other humans, and this is a place that you can do that. And then some upcoming classes, the HIV/AIDS boot camp, which I think is going to be longer than just a boot camp. I worked on this really a lot over the weekend, and I think I have, I don't know, 250, 300 slides, and I'm not done yet. So we may have to extend this out through a few more classes, but that's coming up soon. It's starting really soon, right? And then the next Cancer 201 workshop, I'm going to cover the Hoxsey treatment. And with that, I've said this is the series that's going to go on forever because there are so many alternative cancer treatments. And every time I complete one, somebody asks me about 3 more that I add to the list. So I'm just going to keep scheduling workshops and covering cancer topics until we're finished covering cancer topics. So anyway, that's what's going on. And then, of course, if you're interested in a career in our field, if you're fed up with healthcare and you would rather be doing something else other than traditional healthcare, we can help you re-engineer yourself. And if you have no healthcare experience but are looking to do something to help other people with health-related issues, we've got a lot to offer you as well. So once again, email pampopper@msn.com. All right, so you guys know that I've been sharing a little bit about my personal experiences and some of the difficulties that we're all having these days dealing with other humans. And you guys all write to me, not you all, but many of you write to me and tell me that it's helpful. So I'm going to keep doing it. And so, you know, I guess we've all had, what I want to talk about today is these unpleasant and sometimes hostile conversations that we've had from people, co-workers, family members, friends. They've escalated into arguments in some cases. And, you know, people ask me questions like, well, what am I supposed to say when something like this happens? Or what am I supposed to do? And how to respond. I mean, it's such an individual thing, and it depends upon the relationship that you have with the person, how important that relationship is to you. It depends on what the interaction is. I mean, we could probably do some kind of a workshop at some point in time and talk about what to do. But in any case, I'm just going to give you some general guidelines from my own heart, like what I do, what I've learned, and then I hope it's helpful for you. You know, sometimes the best thing to say is nothing, and the best thing to do is walk away. And we're all resistant to this approach. And I think the reason is we harbor this feeling that if somebody says something nasty to us, even if it's somebody we don't know, it's an interaction in the store or whatever, we're letting somebody get away with it. Like, we don't want to leave it alone. And I tend to be that way too. It's like we all want to have the last word. I don't want the person I just don't want to let that nasty comment or that comment that I know to be false stand, right? So we want to defend ourselves, right? We want to set the record straight. But here's what I've learned. An angry retort in response to an angry statement, or an attempt to correct the record, like you said something false and I'm going to tell you that it's false, it just escalates things. And so in conversations with some people, you know, this idea that you fight fire with fire, well, that's true when you're fighting with the government, but when you're dealing with another human, it just doesn't work very well because it escalates out of control. And that means everybody loses. And that means you too, or me, depending on who's involved in the interaction that's escalating out of control. So, you know, the source of a lot of my grief, as I've shared in the recent weeks, was my mother when she was alive. She was an angry person, and I don't know exactly why. Some people have an opportunity to sit down and ask their parents or whoever, what happened in your life that made you this way? I never got that opportunity. I guess I never really cared to do it, to be really honest with you. She was just mad at the world, I think, looking back, and she took it out on anybody who was around, and that included me. So as I mentioned in a previous video, we had 17 years of separation in my family, and she hadn't changed at all during that time. My father had brokered, I guess you could call it a detente. Okay, we're not going to have silence and we're not going to argue. We're just going to try to act like a family kind of thing. That was what happened. So my mother was still prone to saying inappropriate things and being judgmental and all that. Some of the reasons why I walked away. Well, my whole life changed really when I felt very empowered one day by doing, hang on to your seat here, nothing. I just stopped participating. During a phone call, if she started her stuff, and it doesn't even matter the stuff that it used to be, but I would just calmly say something like, this just doesn't sound like a good time for us to talk right now. I'll try to call you when you're feeling better, and then I'd hang up the phone. I walked out of a restaurant one time, right after the server had delivered all of our meals, because I didn't want to hear the tirade of the day. And what happened was really interesting. She stopped doing it. She stopped doing it. We were never close, but she learned that there were limits with me, and just walking away was the key. And you know, my other family members, my sister was close to my mother till she died and put up with an awful lot, and I think took an awful lot of abuse, and that was her choice. But my mother did not do that to me anymore. So smart people who can think on their feet can come up with quick retorts to inappropriate comments. I'm prone to doing it, particularly when I'm tired and worn out, a condition that I'm plagued with. It's kind of the norm right now, and I'm trying to be a little bit better at how I respond to some things, but it's better to use your character than your intellect when you respond to some people in some situations. I found that angry people don't get less angry when you respond to them in an angry way, or even just trying to set the record straight. I've also found that there's nothing you can say to somebody who has essentially said to you, please don't confuse me with facts, because my mind is already made up. And I think that we're all dealing with some of those kinds of people right now. And maybe they will change. Maybe they will become more open-minded about a lot of things in the future, but we have to deal with right now. And right now they're not open-minded. And right now their minds are made up. So to be clear, I'm talking about personal relationships and encounters that you have with people in your day-to-day life. I mean, I think it's okay to have some righteous anger about the situation that we're in for a lot of reasons. I think we need to do something about it, and I am. But I, like you, have family and friends and associations that are fractured and gone, and some that are tenuous. And so you have to decide, how are you going to handle all this on a day-to-day basis? Well, in some cases, I've stepped back. I've decided I'm not going to be able to change the dynamic of the group or the club or whatever it is, and I can't support it, so I'm just stepping away. In some cases, I don't respond. Hateful emails are met with silence, nothing to be gained by responding. And when I hear somebody out in the public saying something ridiculous, I don't feel any need to respond, just walk away. And in some cases, I don't participate. I think after what I've been through, it is really important to protect myself psychologically. And so a lot of interaction these days is predicated on submitting to ridiculousness, and I just won't do it. I'm not going to stand on the porch in the cold. I'm not going to sit in the yard for dinner. I'm not going to stand in circles like a circus animal or engage in other activities that I consider to be nonsense. So I just don't go. And sometimes when I have said this to people, they said, well, but I'm lonely. And I think that everybody's suffering from that a lot right now. And I'll do another video on it. But here's just something to think about in terms of being lonely. If you have one person who you can call on a regular basis, you're not lonely. You have one person. If you have more than that, you're blessed. And if you have 5 people in your whole life who you can consider really good friends you can count on, you're better off than an awful lot of people in this world. So loneliness comes from not the numbers of people you have around, but the quality of the relationships that you have with the people that you have around. So, maybe a lot of pruning is going on right now, and we're just getting down to brass tacks, the people we can count on. And we're sorting out our own connections in a maybe important way in terms of how we go forward from here. I don't know. I haven't figured it all out. Probably never will. So I'm just sharing with you some thoughts and perspectives, and hopefully you find this helpful. All right. Well, as usual, pass this on to anybody who you think would enjoy hearing a different view of this whole COVID situation. And I'll be back to you tomorrow with more news, different platform. Join the direct email from our office so you always know where the links are, pampopper@msn.com. Thank you for watching.